All right, welcome to anyone who is joining us to watch this. We're so grateful you're here. I'm going to introduce myself and then I'll introduce our guest. My name is Julie Shazat and I'm a transformational coach, and I love stories of transformation. And our guest today has an incredible story and incredible talent that I'm so excited to share with you. So Valentina Moretti, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much, Julianne, for having me. Thank you.
So excited. When we did our conversation that led up to this, I was just so inspired by your energy and your story and your creativity. And then I got to listen to your music and it was just off the charts fun. And
oh, thank you very much. I'm so glad you liked it.
I really love it. I'm so excited to meet you. So Valentina is a musician, she's a singer, she's a music producer, and we'll share a link to her debut album, Valentina Moretti, and a link to the music video, Roller Derby Girls. And like I shared with you, when I watched that video, I just felt like I had to get up and dance. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. I'm happy it made you feel like that.
Totally. And actually, after we talked this week, I left that conversation feeling so inspired. So there's just something about your energy that must go into your music too, I'm sure, but just who you are is really inspirational. So I'm just so grateful that you're here and that you're willing to share this time with us today.
Thank you very much. I'm also so grateful that you're having me here. And yeah, let's have a great conversation.
Cool. So I thought we could start off, given that your story is speaks for itself, I thought we could dive in there. And I know that that will kind of reveal how you became a musician and the artist that you are. So I wondered if you would share with us about where you grew up and what that was like for you, and how that led to you becoming a musician.
Okay, so I was born in San Luis Potosí. That's a small town in Mexico. And I'm a trans woman, so I had a really different childhood. It was not the childhood I would wanted to have, but I have learned a lot along the way, and I'm thankful for that. So it all started with me trying to be myself, and that's been my whole life journey. When I was 8 years old, 6 years old, I didn't know anything about the society rules or anything about sexual education or things like that. So I was really just being myself. And I realized that people wouldn't like that because it was against the social rules. And I couldn't understand that I was bullied at school. They wouldn't let me dress like I wanted to. And even my parents were not, on my side. So that was really surprising to me and also really sad because, when you have a bad time at school, you just want to get home and get a hug or just, talk with mom and dad and just feel like you're loved. But instead of that, I would go home just to get more bullied and even hit by my dad, who at that time, he was an alcoholic. So it was really difficult for me at first to even understand myself because they would let me think that I was wrong than that I was the problem. And, it's really hard for a 6-year-old just to deal with all of that because you're not even ready for that. Yeah. I remember my dad used to tell me that I was going to go to hell because I was like the embodiment of evil just because I wanted to be a woman. And that's a really strong statement coming from him. And that made me even question my own existence, not in a good way. So I really had some really dark times, and I'm really happy that I got through all of that, and that now I can just, express my love and myself through the music. And so school was really, really difficult. I didn't like it. I think I wasn't learning like almost all of the kids. Sometimes I didn't even want to go to school because it was just a bad time, like when you watch a bad movie or something like that, you just don't want to be there. So I had to endure, just get stronger mentally and even physically, because I had to, sometimes I had to stand for me because no one would help me. I didn't have any friends, and I did have a family, but it just felt like I didn't have one because they were really mean to me. And I don't blame them. I know we are all like good people deep down, but they just couldn't understand me and how I feel. So my mom and my dad wouldn't let me dress as I wanted to, and that's how all started. That made us like be divisive, and just we couldn't get along. And I just wanted to, to have a daddy and a mommy, and just to be hugged and loved. And I just couldn't understand why I couldn't have that. I would watch all the kids at school just get along with their parents, and it was really frustrating to me because I didn't even understand why. At least if I could understand it, then I could deal with it. But I didn't understand why my dad just would beat out the crap out of me. I don't know if I can say that, but yeah.
Whatever you want.
Thank you. So it was really hard. I don't even know how I went through all of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then at one point of my life, I knew that I couldn't be there anymore. Like, actually, my dad kicked me out, and I didn't know what to do. I was 13 years old by the time this happened. And at that age, it's not like you can just get a job and do your life, it's you don't even know how life is. You don't know anything at that age. And also you're very susceptible to everything. You're very vulnerable. So it's a really delicate situation and dangerous, because you can lose yourself in that dark path.
Mm-hmm.
So when they kicked me out, I didn't know what to do. I was homeless, and to be homeless at that age is just something that I wouldn't want. I don't desire that, not even to the worst person in the world, because it's just something that no one should ever live. Just the cold and the hunger, and just the feeling that you don't even know you're gonna be alive the next day, and you have no one to express this with, and it it just felt so bad.
Yeah.
And then I knew I had an uncle in the US, and I thought that was, like my answer to everything. So I tried to reach out to my uncle, and I looked for help with a woman that she was my first ally, and she helped me to cross the border illegally.
Mm-hmm.
And for a 13-year-old, that's almost like not suicidal, but you can get raped, you can get robbed, you can even get killed. It's not like something, even for adults, is something really, really difficult and just bad. So imagine when you're just 13 years old, like it's just nuts. And I crossed the border illegally in a like a van, and they would hide us on the back side of the van, and I was just there cold, not knowing what was happening, just hearing noises, just literally praying for my own survival. And that's another thing, when you are lost, like sometimes you can be a refugee, with religion, you can talk to God and you can feel safe. But at that point, I didn't even know what God was, because my parents would tell me that I was the devil.
Mm-hmm.
So how can I trust a God that says that I'm the devil?
Totally.
So I I didn't have that religion or that spirituality in me, and that just made things harder, because even when you have no one, you still have yourself and your spirituality and God, if you believe in that. But I didn't have any of that. So it was really hard. It was almost like I was not soulless, but just, empty. And to be honest, I didn't even want to leave. So when I got to the US, I had my uncle's address. It was in Texas, in a place called Cypress. It's, I think it's near Houston, Texas. I went to his house and he wasn't there because he worked in these petroleum platforms. And when you work doing that, you can spend months on the platform in the ocean. So he was not there. But luckily for me, his neighbors, they were from Honduras. So they speak Spanish. And that's another thing. I didn't know a word in English. I didn't know anything, not even how to ask for food or just to ask where the bathroom is. I didn't know a single word. And also my Spanish was not developed because I didn't really go to school like a normal kid. So I had no education, and I think that made things even harder because I couldn't even, make a sum or anything. So I was really, really vulnerable. And then this woman, the woman from Honduras, she took me in. She knew my uncle, and she could tell what was going on when she saw me, because she was really nice. She actually started to refer to me, as a girl. And yeah, that was so cute. I know. And her kids would do the same, because she would ask them to do that. And that was really, really nice. That was the first time I felt like I was a human being,
And like you were seen, right? It felt like you were seen.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was accepted, like I was like a real human being for my first time in my life. So she helped me. I told her my story. I told her I had no one, I had no money, I didn't know what to do. My uncle was not there. So she took me in for a couple of months until my uncle came. She put me in the school, of course, illegally. And the teachers at school would know that I was there as an illegal alien, but they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't deport me or anything, because they knew I had nowhere to go. And that's how I learned English in the school. They would teach me English. It was I forgot the name, like an optative subject that I had to take.
What
like my English classes were like, I forgot the word. Like I had to take those classes in order to take the other classes,
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
I couldn't take.
Required.
Yeah, exactly. Because if I didn't know English, then I couldn't take math or any other class. So that was actually good for me, because I was learning something. But at school, it was the same as in the Mexican school. I got bullied, and some kids were really, really bad. Some other kids, would try to be nice, but at the end, they would just be, they would be like,
distant.
yeah. And they would do what the other kids would do. Like
Right.
they would just follow the bullies instead of just do their own thing. So it was really hard. Even girls and boys, they would bully me the same way. Because sometimes you think, oh, maybe the girls are more sensitive and, you can hang out with them. But it wasn't like that either until later. So, because, the boys didn't see me as a boy and the girls didn't see me as a girl. So I was kind of like in between, and like no one would want to talk to me because I was, like the freak and stuff like that. And when my uncle finally got back from his job, he didn't want to take me. He saw me. He actually wanted to just put me in a bus and just to go back to Mexico with my parents. And I didn't want that. He didn't understand that I was getting hit, that I was getting kicked every day. And instead of helping me, he put himself in my dad's side, on my dad's side, you know, like, well, it's because you're doing things wrong. You are not supposed to dress like this. You're not supposed to talk like this. You're not supposed to do this, and blah, blah, blah. So that was really hard because, like, sometimes you can have no one, but you have family. And I learned that family sometimes doesn't mean anything. Like, they can be your parents or your uncles or whatever, but still they wouldn't just let love get through, you know?
Mhm.
And I,
The Honduras family was more your family.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I had a really rough time even in the US, but at least I could dress how I wanted at home. Because at school, you know, even though the teachers were cool with me, they would suggest me just not to go as feminine as I wanted to, just to avoid being bullied, you know? So for some time I had to like wear a mask or something like that, just to pretend, just to fit in, and just to not get kicked or laughed at or whatever. And that's really sad when you cannot be yourself, just that you can be liked by someone else. And it wasn't even real, because like the kids wouldn't like me even if I didn't put a skirt on, you know? And they could tell I wasn't being real, you know, because I was just trying to fit in. So I would sit with the teachers at lunch because I didn't have any friends, and it was okay because they would, of course, protect me from the other kids. And that's how I lived pretty much all of my childhood. And when I was homeless, it was a horrible experience because I would be treated as an adult, even though I was not. Like, the other homeless wouldn't help me, or in fact, they would even step on me because, you know, when we were lined to get the leftovers of the restaurant, like, if I'm there, that means one less meal for one of them. So they wouldn't let me line in to get my leftovers. They would just push me and say, you don't belong here, and stuff like that. So there were days that I didn't even eat. And it was, well, really sad, to be honest. Like, I don't want to cry right now, but
Yeah.
I didn't like that part of my life. And then I finished my high school there in the US, and I decided to go back to Mexico just to see my mom, because I really loved her. I mean, I still do. I just felt like she could change. I knew my dad wasn't gonna change. You know, he was like a really macho man and alcoholic, and he would beat up my mom, and so he was really, really crazy. And I say he was because now I haven't seen him in years, like in 8 years, 10 years, but I heard that now he's into religion. He's trying, you know, to just find his way there. Like, sometimes bad people do that, you know, like they hide themselves in religion so they can feel good about all the bad stuff they did. So, like I told you, my dad was really messed up. He would take me to prostitutes just so I could be a man, you know. And that's another thing. I couldn't develop myself as I wanted, because not even my own sexuality. I was afraid of almost every human being. I would, if you would talk to me, I thought you would want to harm me, or make some bad things to me. So I was really shy. I was really, I didn't talk too much.
It's amazing, Valentina. Like, the transformation from that to now is just unbelievable.
Thank you. I know, I just feel so good now. I feel free, you know.
It's incredible. It's so
that's beautiful.
Yes,
Thank
really.
you.
It really is so inspiring. There's something, just in the work that I do as a coach, one of the things that stands out to me is the beauty of the human spirit. And I
Mhm.
feel like your spirit is so beautiful. Like,
Thank you, thank you.
I really do. And I'm so sorry that you went through all of that, but I'm so happy to see the resilience that you have. Like, I think it can be such, it can be so hopeful for so many to see that your spirit shines through in this really beautiful way.
Thank you very much. And that's another thing. Like, I saw really bad stuff when I was a kid. I saw dead people, homeless people dying from overdose, people getting killed, people getting robbed. Like, I feel like I almost saw like the worst
Yeah,
of humanity,
totally.
and that makes you don't want to be part of that. And just I didn't want to live. I actually tried to to suicide myself, to take my own life.
Mhm,
And I'm just so happy that I didn't succeed, because
mhm.
I feel like I have so much to do and so much to tell people. And I just want to help people so no one goes through what I've been through. And it's really sad because I met some other trans girls along the way, and some of them did kill themselves. And I know how dangerous society can be,
Yeah,
and it's a real problem that sometimes they don't tell you that in school. They are just too busy trying you to memorize the president's name, or the birth date of the 20th president of the United States. And when they should be, teaching you about your feelings, about love, about how to channel your own emotions so
mhm.
you can use them in a good way and they don't consume you.
Yeah,
Because we are all human, we are all have suffered things.
yeah.
No one has had an easy life, I'm sure. And if there was, like someone that could teach you how to deal with all of this, I think the world actually would be better, instead of learning numbers. I mean, of course, if you want to be a physician, or you have to learn that. But I mean, I'm talking about when you are just a kid,
Yeah. No, I'm
and
totally with you that
yeah,
people learning about emotions is so important. And also that would help the people who didn't know what to do with their emotions when they were meeting you, and how to treat you and how to be with you, given that they didn't
exactly.
have the same experience that you were having. So I just think I shared this with you the other day, and I know we'll talk about it more as we go, but I just think your vision for humanity is also really incredible. And when we were talking about it, I just like got so happy, and like, hope came through. And I just really appreciate everything that you share.
Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad of that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to let people know that the world is not as dark as you may see it. There is always a light. You just have to be. You have to have faith, and just sometimes it's hard to trust people, but I just feel like everyone can be a good person.
Yeah. And you shared that about, people having goodness in them. And one of the things that stood out to me about your story was that you kept meeting people who, fortunately were helping you and really had your best interests at heart. And I know that when you went back to, at some point, you went back to Mexico, right?
Yeah, I went back and I thought everything was going to be different. I thought that my mom and dad would accept me and I would
How
be
old were
living a happy life. I was, I think, 17 years old, almost 18.
you?
And when I came back, my mom had divorced my dad, and I was really happy for her, because my dad wasn't a good husband or a good dad, and she would suffer a lot. Just like, I think that's why she was really hard on me, because she had so much hate and just so much pain inside her because my dad was so bad with her, and she would just channel that through me, and that was not good. I mean, but at least I think I can understand her, and I don't hate her. I don't even hate my dad. I just think he did wrong stuff, you know. So when I came back, my mom was living on her own without my dad. I didn't know where my dad was. I just knew that he was around. Like, I knew he was still alive, but I didn't want to meet him or anything. And I really missed my mom, but she didn't. I think it got worse when she saw me when I came back from the US, because I was already starting my transformation. So I already looked like a girl, and she didn't like that because, you know, she was hoping for me to have kids and, you know, just to be her boy, you know, how moms are. And that's okay, I get it. But I have feelings too, and sometimes you need to let people be themselves.
Yeah, and to be true to who they are.
Yeah, exactly. So we couldn't get along. I tried, but she just couldn't, and I left. I went to Mexico City to try to have a normal life, and it was just the same, but with more people. Like, people would still bully me, people, because, you know, now all of the trans people subjects are, it's getting more accepted. I'm really happy for that. Even at schools, you can see teachers are more, they care more about that. They try to integrate trans people with their classmates. And at least in the US, I've seen that. In Mexico, it's totally different. It's like a jungle, and you have to develop claws if you really want to survive, and that's really hard. But back then, things were like really new, so people wouldn't understand. I couldn't even go to church because they wouldn't let me in.
Wow.
So yeah, I know. So I realized that religion was not as good as they pictured it.
Yeah.
Like, I believe in goodness. I believe in love. I just think that religion sometimes is absolute and is just trying to continue an ideology or a dogma that is just helpful for a few of people, not for the whole of the humanity.
Right.
And sometimes people, yeah, sorry.
I was going to say that it in our minds, it should be the place where everyone is welcome.
Exactly, because it's the, you know, like the house of God. And if you feel desperate, if you feel like you need to feel good, that's where you're supposed to go, right? But even the priest wouldn't let me in. They would call me a freak, and just they would kick me out of church. Because I did try to live inside a church when I was homeless, and they didn't let me. And so after I went to Mexico City, I met a woman from France, and she could tell that I was having a bad time. I still didn't want to leave, and that's when I did my attempt of taking my own life. And that's why she helped me. She told me about a beautiful and magical place called New Zealand, and she told me it was the happiest place on earth, just like Disneyland, you know. And I was really curious just to see if that was true. And she convinced me to go there with her, and she paid everything for me. She was really nice. I still keep contact with her until today. I met her daughter, and we are good friends. And sometimes she comes to, well, I'm in the US right now, but sometimes she comes to Mexico and we meet, and she's a really good friend. And she was right. I mean, New Zealand was a really different place. Like, you would see a church turn into a nightclub, into a gay nightclub. And that's when I thought, oh, things are really different here.
Yeah, really different.
Yeah, like that wouldn't happen anywhere else in the world. So I knew I was like in the right place to keep developing myself. And at this point, I was not like really into music because I had so much stuff in my head. Like I was just trying to live. And when you are just trying to live, it's really hard to have dreams. It's really hard to have passions. It's really hard just to want to do anything besides just surviving. I was just worried what I'm gonna eat tomorrow. And so it was really nice to have an ally, and she just took care of me for years while I was there in New Zealand. I learned a lot. I kept on learning English. I met so much cool people from all over the world, from Asia, from Europe. And when I was in contact with all of these ideologies and cultures, I could see that everyone has like its own mental break. Like, I mean, like it doesn't matter where you're from, like you all have prejudice.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really nice to eliminate that prejudice along the way. And with these people, there was even people that was mean to me, but a couple of months later they would be my friends. And I always love that, just to be able to change people's perspective about life itself.
Totally.
It's just a beautiful thing. And I really think that's why we are here, just to love, to help people, and just to feel good, you know?
Yeah, you said something the other day when we spoke that really stood out to me. You said that when you spend time with people who, I think you said, feel good around, or I think that's how you said it, that it allows you to develop.
Oh yeah, exactly. When you are with the right people, you start to do great things. And that's how music started with me.
Yeah, that was so beautiful how you said that.
Thank you. And it really is, you know, if you don't have like, because sometimes you think that everything is lost, but then you realize that you can change your environment. It's all up to you. I know it's hard to understand or hard to believe. Oh yeah, she said it's easy just to choose, but it you really need to try to change your environment if it's not making any good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And once you make that decision, it's not an easy decision, because changing your environment means even leaving your family behind,
Mm-hmm.
or people that you thought were your friends,
Mm-hmm.
or the place that you grow up in. And that's never an easy choice. I know people that they are still living, you know, in the same town, and they just want to be there forever, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not having a good time, you have to be willing to change, and just you can be scared. I mean, fear is useful, actually. Is if you use it the right way, it can help you to be better. But I think that's a really important thing I learned, and I that's an advice I would like to give to everyone who's listening. If you don't feel like you're having a good time, or if you don't like where you are at this point of your life, just change. Don't be afraid. If you believe in yourself, if you really are a good person, the good will come to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you keep looking for your dreams and just keep trying, you will find your dreams. And because I've seen a lot of people that just lose their way, and they don't realize it's because they are with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you have your friend from childhood, you know him since for 20 years, but he may be a bad person, because maybe he keeps telling you cannot be a good soccer player, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But you think he's your friend because you have known him for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells you cannot be a good soccer player. So in the end, he's not your friend. You know, friends don't do that. Friends don't step on your dreams. They help you accomplish your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
So once you realize that, things get a lot better.
Yeah, I that really stood out to me when you shared. I mean, I would not wish for those things to have happened to you, but what stood out to me in them was that there was a feeling that you were following, you know, a feeling of, I think you said it the other day, something like what if it could get better? Like you had this idea, what if it could be better?
Yeah, exactly. Because I was sure that this was not life. I was sure that there was something else, that things could really get better. And that was called hope.
Mhm.
And that's what I had for a long time. And I still have it. And I have hope in every single human being, because I think that bad experiences could turn us into bad people. It's just how you deal with it that makes who you are.
And hopefully, I mean, the other part of the equation would hopefully people will learn to treat each other better, and so that people don't have to go through those experiences. But I love how you're pointing to the fact that there was like hope wasn't broken in you somehow. And I think that, and it doesn't mean you, like, you said that there was times when you really didn't feel like being alive at that one point. And so it's I think it's important for people to know that we go through lots of feelings, but there was this feeling of hope that you had, that you were following. And I find that incredibly inspiring, that hope isn't broken.
Thank you. I know it was really, really hard. Like I said, I had some help, like this French woman. She really put faith back on me. And yeah, I just think that you you should never lose the hope. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, it's really incredible. And that was also the feeling I left the call with the other day. So it was interesting that, you talked about feeling it so much. And then when I left, I noticed that I was feeling even more hope than I normally would. So
Oh, I'm glad of that.
it's amazing. It's really cool that we can have that impact on each other. Um, so I wonder if you could share, there was one more piece of your story. I mean, whatever else you want to share about your story, I would love to hear. But there was one piece that I remember you sharing from the other day, which was that you worked at was it the cultural center?
Oh yeah. So when I came back from New Zealand, I went back to Mexico City again, and I just felt like I had to help people there,
Mhm.
because but at this point of my life, I was like already transitioning. I was already me, and I felt like I was now ready to help people. So
Mhm.
I started looking for jobs. I worked at a chocolate factory. That was like my first official job, because I would do other things like unofficially, especially when I was in the US, like mopping floors and stuff like that illegally, just to survive. But that was like my first real job. And then after that, I worked in the Secretary of Culture in Mexico, and I'm the first trans woman to work there ever in the Mexico's history. I don't know how old the country is, but I'm the first one, and that feels so good, because it means, like, we can all make it and be ourselves. It's just that um, you have to be patient with yourself and with others. And that's something that's really, really difficult, to have patience with people that is being bad with you.
Mhm.
It's just really hard, because the first reaction when someone is making harm to you is just to want to take that back to them. But
Totally.
that's not good for you. That would just poison yourself in the inside. It's not good. So when I was working there, I was able to help people, and just by being there, I could feel like I was changing things, because all of my coworkers, they had never befriended a trans woman or a trans person before. It was like their first time.
Mhm.
So they had so many questions. They were really eager to learn about me and about my story. And I really think that I helped them at least a little bit. So I could see changes in them. Like the first month, they would be like a little bit mean with me. But then as time went by, I could feel they were getting nicer and nicer. And that's a really good feeling.
Yeah, and that it comes from getting to know each other. you know, like as they got to know you and to understand who you are and to appreciate you, I'm sure that was a part of them having a different experience.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, like just I think sometimes we forget that we are human beings, you
Yeah.
know? We are just so focused on our problems and on the pressure and the economic system. Like I don't want to blame the system or anything, but it's just hard to live sometimes, with the pressures, with the rent and with the low salaries, and everything is made for you to stress out.
Mhm.
So sometimes you need to take a break, think about it, and just try to relax. I know it's hard when you don't know what you're gonna eat. It's not easy to relax, but you have to find a way just to find yourself and find some peace so you can think wisely and not do anything that can be wrong for you.
Yeah, I think
Because,
that's so smart. It really, really,
yeah, because everything like our jobs, our lifestyle, everything it's like it's made just to forget how easy life is at the end.
Mhm.
Like life is just about love,
Mhm.
but we just forget about it every day.
Mhm. Yeah, and then that impacts the way we treat each other and how we see
Yeah.
things, and I totally agree. So then how, from this part of your journey, you were already really into music at this point, right? Like you
Yeah.
studied music, and how was that for you?
Well, to be honest, music saved my life. If I didn't make music, I wouldn't be alive, and I'm really grateful for that. It's my passion, it's my dream, and it's my, I don't know, like my thing. I just, I, I really love music. It has given me a lot. Maybe not in the sense of luxury or cars or fame, but in terms of spirituality, it let me just be alive. And that's the beauty about music, because music doesn't care who you are. Music is just music, and you can feel it. It doesn't matter what language you speak, what's the color of your skin, what's your sexual preference. You're just enjoying the melodies, the sounds, the textures, and it makes you feel good. And that's what I love about music. Music is for everyone, and music does not discriminate anyone.
Mhm. Yeah, I love
So
how you said that it was spiritual, because that's so true. It's like it's just something that you're feeling. It almost sounds like it put you in touch with your soul, like puts you in touch with who you are.
yeah, exactly. It's almost like music has been like since the first days of humanity.
Mhm.
It was actually one of the first ways we learned to communicate was through music. Like
Wow.
we didn't have a language, but we could make sounds. They would hit bones with other things, and that's how they communicate at first, through music. So at the end, music it's a language. It's just that it's so universal that it doesn't matter if it's in English or in Swedish or in Spanish. You can feel it because it is a language.
Yeah, it's
And I think that's beautiful.
yeah, me too. I love music for that reason too. And it you know, it, like you said, it connects us. So like when I watched your video and I said I wanted to get up and dance, to me it's like the inspiration that came through you, and there's like a fun in it. It woke those same feelings up in me, and so I think that that's just really cool that it connects us
Oh,
that way.
yeah. Yeah, it really connects us in a different way. Like, for example, maybe you don't like a person, but when you realize they listen to the same music as you do, you
Yeah.
suddenly like them. And now they are your friends. And that's how beautiful music is.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
can bring together people that don't like each other.
Yeah.
And that's magical.
And what, you went to school for music, right? When you were working at the chocolate factory? I think that's what you had mentioned the other day.
Yeah, I would work on the day and then go to school at the evening, at night. And that's how I started. I took drumming lessons and some piano lessons, and then even singing lessons. And then I studied music production. So
Wow.
I could learn how to record my own feelings and emotions. And because sometimes you know how to play an instrument, but you don't really know how to turn that into a full song, you
Right.
know? So I really felt like that was really important to learn, because yeah, sometimes it can be difficult if you don't know how to do that. So I studied music production, and now here I am
I
talking
love
with
it.
you.
One of the things that stood out to me when we were talking before was you had mentioned that for the music video, you produced the whole thing. And so I just would love if you would share anything that occurs to you to share about your creative process or your inspiration.
Well, my creative process is really like spontaneous. Like anything can give me, um, anything can inspire me to make music. Even just meeting you,
Mhm.
it's a inspirational thing for me.
Mhm.
And who knows, maybe that makes me feel like I want to do a new song. But every flavor, every smell, everything that I look, everything that I feel, it's all um it's all part of the inspiring. Like I don't have like a defined process. It
Mhm.
just comes like,
Naturally.
yeah, like I didn't want to say naturally, but it just flows. Like if I'm, even if I'm seeing something sad, it can inspire me to do something happy. And I know that's weird, but I think that my inspiration for making music, it's life itself.
Yeah. And I love that what feels very clear to me is that you let your inspiration flow through you the way that it comes to you. Like
Yeah,
you just are in touch with it and you express it and you feel it and you engage it. I don't know. I just get this feeling that you really honor the inspiration that you have.
thank you. Yes, I think you have to be always perceptive. You have to be open to every emotion, every flavor, and every color, because that's also not just for music, but for life itself. That's I think that's a really important thing in life, just to enjoy every single little thing, even if it's not how you wanted things to go.
Yeah.
Just enjoy the ride, because you we don't live a second time.
Hmm. And what's interesting to me about it too is the choice, like the knowing in you that you just wanted to be yourself. I don't know if I'm going to be able to say this that well, but it's like that same knowing that you followed to be yourself and to honor who you are. It doesn't surprise me that your music is as inspired as it is. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
thank you. Yeah, I mean, I guess it does. Thank you. And
Because I just know for me, like when I haven't been willing to be myself, it's hard to follow inspiration. So I don't know. I don't know if that is other people's experience, but I've
oh yeah, I'm sure that when you're not having like a good time, or like when you don't find yourself, it's hard to get inspired.
Mhm.
So like I said, when you change your surroundings, everything starts to get better.
Yeah, and for other people, it's like the more we include everyone and welcome everyone and honor everyone, the more inspiration we're going to have. I really deeply believe that. I just
Yeah, it is true. It's really just dumb to be mean to people, because every person is like a different book to read, and you can learn from every single person on this planet.
yes.
And it's just so, it doesn't make sense to me when oh, I don't talk to this person because he's Latin, or he's black, or he's gay, or whatever. You're already putting closing doors and closing your mind.
Yes.
And that's really silly, because how are you going to dream or develop yourself if you say no to everything without even knowing about it?
Mhm.
So that's another thing. I think that just meeting people is really richful, for not just for music, but in terms of life richness. Like you can get so much just by knowing someone that speaks a different language,
Mhm.
or that has different habits, or anything. And I think we should be always open to learn new things. And even if you feel like a person may not be your type of person, just give it a try, because you never know what you're gonna find, and sometimes that can even save your life.
Yeah, I love that. I wonder if there's any last thoughts or messages that you wanted to share with people who are listening.
Well, I would love to say, always try to be yourself as long as you don't do harm to others.
Mhm.
Always try to listen to that little voice inside your head, that, because you know deep down what you have to do, but sometimes we just feel like we don't know. But deep down we know, and we know what we want, we know what we dream of, we know how we feel, but sometimes we just don't allow ourselves to to do that.
Mhm.
So don't think about what others think about you, just try to enjoy life in your own perspective. Don't try to be liked by everyone, because that's just impossible.
Mhm.
So if you spend your whole life trying to be liked by every single person you meet, it's going to be a nightmare.
Mm.
Just try to be a good person with yourself first, because if you love yourself first, then you will be able to love other people. But
Mhm.
if you don't love yourself, it's going to be really hard to love someone else. So just try to be truthful to yourself, and always try to help people. Um, I think that really is the answer to life. When you help someone, good comes to you like almost immediately. And I think, like, it doesn't matter, the system or the countries, the flags, it doesn't matter. Like, at the end, the universe is made up with love, and if you do love, then good things will happen to you. And just remember that it doesn't matter how dark it gets, there's always a light, there's always hope. And I know it may sound like a cliche, but it's really true, because I've been there. I even tried to take my own life, and because I couldn't see any light, I could just see darkness. But even in those dark times, there is always someone or something that can help you. So don't be so hard on yourself, and just think that everything is temporary.
Mm.
Nothing lasts forever, not even the bad times or the good times. So just enjoy life, and try to be good and do good always.
Valentina, you have so much wisdom. I'm so grateful. Even after you
Mm.
said some of those things when we talked earlier, like I felt them, I was like, oh, okay. I don't need to be liked by everyone. Like I could tell I had some of that going.
Yeah, we all do. Thank you.
And so I just, I so, so, so appreciate you being here and sharing your story and your wisdom. And I really hope there's more to come. And for those listening, the links for Valentina's debut album will be in the comment section or in the notes. And there'll also be a link to the video. And again, thank you so, 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 so much.
Thank you, Julian, for having me. I'm really happy to be here. I'm always happy to try to help people, and I will always do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.